Hello again, and today I am going to be delving into a commentary that I have threatened for either a week or a couple weeks now, and this is about why does the right accept the left's moral standards. And with this question, I am going to just flat out give the answer right away. And it's because they think they're appealing to moderates. Now, when you're trying to win elections, when you're trying to play the game of political strategy and political theater, you need to appeal to the largest demographic of voters. Right now, the left thinks they have the country in the bag. They don't. They just have the cities, and that's because the cities are filled with progressive-minded people. And, the heartland is now filled with moderate to conservative-leaning people. And, conservatism in general was kind of dying out until Donald Trump gave it the fire under the ass that it desperately needed. And in making it the party of Donald Trump and the campaign Donald Trump ideals, you now have all these kind of conservative firebrands coming out of the woodwork, like Josh Hawley and Matt Gaetz and others. I would not say Dan Crenshaw. I think Dan Crenshaw, as his aptly named moniker, Zioclops, would infer that he is a neocon Israel firster shill. And this is despite his age. So this goes to show that, we have not defeated neocon. We have not defeated neoconservatism, the beast itself, just yet. But we do have some new younger upstarts that are falling in line with the more campaign Trump-based policies and the Tucker Carlson way of thinking about conservatism, which is good. It's a good step for conservatism on the whole. And, as someone who used to be a leftist and progressive, why I think appealing to moderates is very stupid right now for the conservative party is because the left is fucking crazy and there is no alternative but them. Okay? Libertarians were already crazy especially when that fucking dude went on stage naked at the Libertarian Convention in 2016 and then was later found out a year later that he had ties to Antifa. So yeah, crazy fucking party. Greens are already fucking crazy. Okay? They are like the anarcho-communist version of the green spectrum on the political compass. They are just bugfuck nuts. And the Democratic Party seems to be stealing all of their notes on how to appeal to the youth. So this is the time for the right to solidify and fall into formation and basically reject the left's morality. And yet you see all these conservative Inc. style cocksuckers, including Dan Crenshaw, just totally fall in line with the left's morality from 5 years ago. And there have been lots of questions at the Groyper Wars Turning Point USA events specifically, where they point blank ask Charlie Kirk, are you going to accept, child drag kids and the ilk of the degeneracy of the modern left in 5 years? Because that is the trajectory that conservatism seems to be falling on the social conservative side. And I want to state that, due to the Groyper Wars, due to my kind of intellectual curiosity, I am falling into more of a paleo-libertarian kind of view of the world where I do want individual freedom for all, but I do recognize that we need order first in order to get that, and we need a more informed electorate so that we can have a strong left and a strong right and really have the ideas kind of duke it out for control of the country, rather than the political cheerleading and in the theater and the ridiculous boomerisms, as well as the kind of who's worse, fascism or communism game that people love to play nowadays. I think that shit's stupid. So what kind of made me drift to get back into the subject matter? What made me drift further right, I believe, is the optics-friendly language. And what I mean by optics-friendly language, things you listen to rather than, things you see, is that you're talking about really rough subjects, things that the donor class does not want to hear be talked about on mainstream media, but you're using optics-friendly language to make these unpalatable ideas presentable at the very least, so that you can attempt to start discussing it. And these are the kind of ideas that, as a leftist, I never heard of before. I never heard of shit like, hey, mass immigration hurts the American worker more than anything else, more than, outsourcing. And as a result, that made me really think about immigration for the first time. And, with the, when talking about degeneracy, it made me really realize that, like, hey, maybe this LGBT sandwich shit, alphabet soup, maybe there's something inherently wrong with the formation and the ideology. And this is the kind of shit that led me from Gamergate into the culture war, where it's like, hey, this feminism shit isn't all it was supposed to be. And maybe it's just inherently wrong to begin with. And, this is how you get the normies to come around to your side. And I did have a commentary on how to appeal to the normies. And again, this is like the big way. And what Conservative Inc. wants to do instead is to basically cuck to leftist morality, to cuck to progressive standards, when that should be the farthest thing from your objective goal in converting moderates and normies. One of the big, religious versions of this kind of cucking is the way people handle Sikhs, because they think that Sikhs are inherently nationalistic to the country that they emigrate to. And by forcing their religion onto countries like the United States of America, you are violating the civil liberties law by stating that religion and state need to go hand in hand, or otherwise you're going to cry. And they use civil liberties law as interpreted as for religious liberties against the, separation of church and state fundamentals that this country was founded on. And so this is inherently cucking when you defend Sikhs and say, oh, look at how patriotic they are when they serve in the Mounties, or not the Mounties, what, the fucking fuzzy hat National Guard of Buckingham Palace, like when they're in the Royal Army, and they're wearing their fucking turbans and their long ass beards. It's like, yeah, that is still cultural enrichment in the cultural Marxist sense. That is not a good thing. And for you to defend Sikhs like that makes you look like a cuck. And so that is the kind of shit I see in Conservative Inc. And what I think we need to do, just as a movement of dissidents, as a collection of individuals who kind of coalesce around this dissident right framework, is we need to do three big things. Number one, fuck the donor class. They do not belong with us. And we know those people in 5 years are going to cuck out into leftist thought, like most corporations have nowadays. Corporations back in the 2000s used to be really right wing. They used to be, because that was who was defending their bottom line. But with all this corporate cucking, the corporations have gone leftward to appeal to the people that they think are their demographic, when it truly is not. And we'll get into that further over time, because that is a fun subject, especially when it comes to Disney Star Wars and Disney Lucasfilm and that relationship. And there'll be lots of that next month, so don't worry. We'll get to some corporate cuckery. But the donor class is not that far away from major corporations as far as that kind of switch. And at some point, conservatives will have the grassroots movement, and leftism will be the corporate establishment. And it will be really funny when that switch happens, because the left will fucking just get angry when they see corporate people spouting their talking points. And it'll be genius fucking political strategy if it's just a game to these donors. So, yeah, fuck the donors. The second point is to end political theater. This impeachment shit is garbage. This Russiagate nonsense was garbage. The Kavanaugh hearings, garbage. If you see some political theater bullshit, you must avoid it and stick to the hard-hitting issues that affect all of us. I don't know why I really accented that point, other than, there's just so much shit going on in our day-to-day lives, and we don't need to be caught up in Washington, D.C., and New York, and Los Angeles' nonsense when we're trying to resolve issues permanently. We are not trying to make money off of people suffering. We are trying to resolve the issues that befall this nation. And so when you see political theater, you call it out, and then you say something super real, like, why aren't we talking about mass immigration? Or, like, why are fucking child drag queens allowed on major television networks? Or, like, why is this gay guy talking for conservatives while he's making these fucking ads for the gay version of Tinder cuddle buddies? So that's what we really need to go after, is political theater, because political theater is there as a distraction. Q, I think, is the biggest boomer distraction of all time, and it's giving people false hope, the QAnon meme, when we should be focusing on ending mass immigration, resolving degeneracy, making things better for the American worker, like beyond mass immigration. And so the distractions do not help us. The final point in my list is to stop the disavowal nonsense. You cannot go around saying, I disavow, because that person has unpalatable views. You can find agreements. You can be adults. You can have tough conversations, and more people will respect you as a result. You do not need to play this dumb disavowal game. It was really old in 2017. It is fucking ancient in 2019, and it will be a fossil in 2021. I do not want to see this kind of shit go into the next decade, because when you start disavowing, you kind of shrink the pool of people in your repertoire, in your Rolodex, in your arsenal. And as a result, there will be less and less people to defend you when you get deplatformed. So, again, slippery slope reality. Not a fallacy. It's a reality that if you play along with these leftist games and their morality, you will lose everyone in the process. And so I conclude this commentary on, again, saying, why does the right accept the left's morals? It's to appeal to the moderates. There are better strategies for appealing to the normies and the moderates than cucking out to leftist morality. Leftist morality is a falsehood. There is no such thing. It is just being the most progressive person, and that is leftist morality. So, again, it's a falsehood. It's not real. If you hear someone that calls himself conservative cuck out to leftist morality, like Charlie Kirk being like, oh, I don't see a problem with gay people. What two consenting adults do in their bedroom is none of my business. But yeah, when that person takes it out on the street and shows your kid their dick, it's your fucking business, Charlie Kirk. It's your goddamn business now, all right? That's when the fucking libertarianism ends. And so, yeah, that's the video. In conclusion, to all of Conservative Inc., who keeps ceding ground to the left, keeps doing the dumb disavowal game, keeps playing into political theater, listening to their donor overlords. Tread lightly because the ground you stand on is just ever shrinking, and you'll need us in due time.